Well, hey, Dream Team, welcome to another episode of The Five. We are on a one-day break in between two pastors' conferences. Last week, we got to go to the ARC conference down in Anaheim, California, and got to take a day out to take our kids to Disneyland. It was super fun.
Yeah.
And then just in a couple minutes here, we're jumping on a plane, headed to Portland for the Ministers Fellowship International Conference. This is the two fellowships that we belong to as pastors and as a church, and they happen to be back-to-back this year, so we are in full pastors conference mode. So it's a lot of fun. It's a little bit stressful, but we're having a great time, and I thought it would be a great episode of The Five to just share kind of some of our big takeaways from the ARC conference last week. Jamie's got a thought she's going to share, and then I'll wrap up after that.
Yeah, Pastor Dave Patterson, he talked about the water rights back inside of, ancient times and how important those were to the civilization that was around them. And whoever owned kind of the rights to the well that would be inside of that area, they really had the authority over the entire area. And he applied that to us spiritually. That, when we are digging out that well inside of our own spiritual life or inside of the life of our church, it really gives us an authority to be able to minister to people. And I was thinking about that a lot, with the series we've been in with the problem of God and how it's been reaching people, bringing people into our congregation that might not have otherwise come and checked it out. And it's also bringing up a lot of issues inside of people's lives, maybe in their marriage or inside of, their world, that they're realizing that, maybe there was some kind of thing that they didn't realize that they had adopted this mindset or this cultural narrative, and all of a sudden they're face to face with that. And how important it is for us to be winning the war in the spiritual.
Right.
Because we're not going to be able to argue anyone into following Jesus or going to heaven, right? That has to be something that God softens their heart, draws them to himself. And so as he spoke, it just reawakened this desire inside of me to make sure that prayer is such a priority, both in my individual life, inside of our lives as leaders, with our team, that we have to be winning the war in the spiritual because people's lives are hanging in the balance. Whether or not they decide to follow Jesus, what they're called to do with their life and the ministry that they're supposed to be involved with, their marriage and their parenting and all the different aspects of their life, they're hinging upon them having an encounter with God that transforms them from the inside out. And so that was my big takeaway that I came back with from the ARC conferences last week.
Yeah, I felt like the emphasis, session after session after session, was just it can't only be about systems and structures and strategies, but there's this spiritual plane. There's this spiritual atmosphere. It only works if God's building it. It only works if God's in it. And we so believe that. We're trying our best to live that out. And we just want to continue to invite you, Dream Team, as we're planning and thinking and leading and strategizing, make sure that our spiritual life is the most important thing, that the best gift that we bring to the team is our relationship, our love relationship with Jesus. And so that was such a big theme of the conference. One of the other things I just loved was one of the speakers was ministering out of this verse in Isaiah, a familiar verse that you may have heard. It says that those that wait upon the Lord will renew their strength, and the word is exchange. They'll exchange their weakness for the strength of God. And then it says they will mount up with wings like eagles. And he talked about how an eagle soars is it uses very little flaps of its wings. It basically just spreads out those wings and catches these updrafts of the currents, and it can just soar up there for hours with very little motion. And then he compared it to the hummingbird, which apparently beats its wings 150 times per second.
That's crazy.
Like, it's just this picture of activity and frenzy and go, 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 and just has to constantly eat and consume calories to keep it going. And he just talked about how it's so important that we're like eagles, spreading out our wings and just riding on what God is trying to do in our churches and our lives and our leadership teams. So I would encourage you that way. One of the ways that we can do that together very practically is by coming together to pray on Sunday mornings. There's a small group that gathers during worship practice, 8 o'clock in the morning, every Sunday morning, to pray and wait on God. And I just would like to invite every single one of you. We just think it's so valuable to gather together and pray.
Right.
So you're invited. It's going to be an amazing week. We'll see what God has to teach us this week as we head to Portland, and we cannot wait to see you this weekend as we conclude the problem of God. We love you. God bless you. Have a great week.